Hello crochet friends, I'm Graceface and today I'm going to show you how to make Goosetopher the Goose. This adorable goose friend is a smaller version of my giant crocheted goose. I have also given you an option in this pattern to make him in a seated position, or you can also make one that is laying down. I even have options to make your own crocheted eyes. The Reclining Goosetopher is about 28 inches long when made with blanket yarn, and the seated version is about 18 inches tall, also when made with blanket yarn. Please feel free to use the timestamps below to help you navigate through different parts of this tutorial as needed. Now that we know what we're going to be doing today, let's take a look at the abbreviations and materials that will be used in this tutorial. Please pause the video to review all of the materials that will be used in today's tutorial. You can also pause to review the abbreviations that will be used on screen throughout the tutorial. We're going to start by making our beak. To begin, you'll need your 6.5mm crochet hook and your mustard colored blanket yarn. Form a magic circle, and then we are going to place 6 single crochet into that magic circle. Tighten up that magic circle and tie a knot to fasten it so it stays closed. And now we're ready to move on to the next round. For round 2, we're going to do 2 increases and then a single crochet, and then we're going to repeat that to do another 2 increases and a single crochet. That should end us up with 10 stitches at the end of round 2. For round 3, we're going to do a single crochet in every stitch. Now that we've completed a couple rounds, we can turn our work right side out and continue. For round 4, we're going to do a stitch repeat of a single crochet and then an increase, and we're going to do that 5 times total. You should end round 4 with 15 stitches. For the next 3 rounds, rounds 5, 6, and 7, you are going to place a single crochet in every stitch. Round 8 will be another increase round. We're going to start this round with an increase. Then we're going to do 3 single crochet. An increase. Then 6 single crochet. Another increase, and then 3 single crochets. You should end with 18 stitches at the end of round 8. Round 9 will be our last round and is only a partial round. We are going to do 4 single crochet, then a slip stitch, and then we're going to fasten off, leaving a long tail for sewing so we can attach the beak to the body. The beak is now complete. Next, we are going to make our goose's tail. The tail is composed of 5 total feathers. We're going to make 2 small feathers, 2 medium feathers, and 1 large feather, and we will connect all of the feathers together on the large feather. To start, we're going to make our small feathers. Grab your 6.5 millimeter crochet hook and white blanket yarn and form a magic circle. Place 3 single crochet into your magic circle. Tighten your magic circle. And then for round 2, we are going to do an increase, a single crochet, and an increase. You should end round 2 with 5 stitches. Turn your work right side out. For round 3, we're going to place a single crochet in every stitch. At the end of R3, you're going to fasten off and leave a long tail for sewing. Make a second small feather, so you should have 2 small feathers total. Next, we are going to make our medium feathers. Using a 6.5 millimeter crochet hook and white blanket yarn, form a magic circle and place 3 single crochet into your magic circle. Tighten up your magic circle and we're ready to move to the next round. For round 2, we're going to do a single crochet, an increase, and then a single crochet. You should have 4 stitches total at the end of this round. Turn your work right side out, and we are ready to proceed to the next round. For round 3, we're going to do a stitch repeat of a single crochet and an increase, and then another single crochet and an increase, and you should end this round with 6 stitches total. For round 4, we're going to place a single crochet in every stitch. Fasten off and leave a tail for sewing later. Your medium feather is complete. Be sure to make a second medium feather, so you should have 2 total. Now that we've completed our 2 small feathers and our 2 medium feathers, we are ready to proceed to make the large feather and join all of the feathers together to make the tail. Using your 6.5 millimeter crochet hook and white blanket yarn, Form a magic circle and place 3 single crochet into the magic circle. Tighten your magic circle. For round 2, we're going to do a single crochet, an increase, and a single crochet. You should have 4 stitches at the end of round 2. Turn your work right side out, and then we're ready to proceed to round 3. For round 3, we're going to do an increase and then a single crochet, and we'll repeat that one more time to do another increase and single crochet, and at the end of round 3 you should have 6 stitches. For round 4, we're going to place a single crochet in every stitch. For round 5, we're going to do a single crochet and then an increase, and we'll do that series of stitches 3 times in total, and at the end of round 5 you should have 9 stitches. For round 6, we're going to do a single crochet in every stitch. You should have 9 stitches. On this next round, round 7, we are going to join the medium feathers to our large or central feather to begin forming the main tail piece. To join these feathers together, we are just going to crochet them together by crocheting into the next stitch on our medium feather, or the stitch that you would have been crocheting into had you crocheted another round. So this stitch right here. So place your hook into that stitch, that next stitch available on your medium feather, and place a single crochet in every one of the 6 stitches on your medium feather until you get all the way back around to the other end. Now that we have reached the end of our medium feather, we're going to place our hook back into the main center feather, and we're going to do 4 single crochets. We're going to attach our second medium feather in the same way that we just did our other one, by placing our hook into that next available stitch on our medium feather, and we're going to single crochet 6 all the way around our medium feather until we reach the other side. We've made it back around to our large or central feather, so we're going to place our hook into the next available stitch on that large feather, and we're going to single crochet 5 until we reach our stitch marker at the end of the round. As you can see, all 3 feathers are now attached, and there should be 21 stitches at the end of round 7. Round 8 will be an increase round, and we will start with doing 2 single crochet. Then 2 increases. Then 4 more single crochet. An increase. Three single crochet. Two increases. And then single crochet 7. You should have 26 stitches at the end of round 8. On the next round, round 9, we are going to attach the small feathers in a similar way that we did with our medium feathers. This join method will leave some gaps between the feathers where they were attached, and we're going to use the tails that were remaining from the medium and small feathers to sew those gaps closed. And we're going to do that after we have attached all of the feathers together on the next round at the end of round 9. For round 9, we're going to do 4 single crochet, and this should get us to the edge of our main feathers. And now we're going to grab a small feather, and we are going to crochet them together just like we did with the medium feathers. Place your hook into the next available stitch on that small feather, and you're going to single crochet 5 around the edge of the feather. Now we're going to place our hook back into the main tail and single crochet 13. Now we're going to grab our second small feather, and we're going to place our hook into the next available stitch on that feather, and we're going to single crochet 5 around the edge of that second small feather until we reach the other side. Now that we are back at the main tail, we're going to place our hook into the next stitch on the main tail, and then we're going to single crochet 9 until the end of this round. You should have 36 stitches in total once you reach the end of round 9. And there we have it. All of our tail feathers are now attached together. For round 10, the increases should line up to the edge of the tail. Depending on your tension and the slant of your stitches, you might need to adjust these by a stitch or two just to get them in the right place. For round 10, we're going to do 5 single crochet. Then we're going to do our 2 increases on the edge of the tail. Followed by 17 single crochet. Then 2 more increases on the other edge of our tail. And then single crochet 10 to the end of the round. You should have 40 stitches at the end of round 10. Before we proceed with round 11, we're going to use the tails from the feathers to sew up the gaps that were created between the feathers when we joined them. I'll include a time lapse of me sewing the gaps closed on one of these so you can get an idea of what that should look like. And when you're done, you can take the remaining tail and stuff that down inside of the feather that you just sewed up. Now that all of the gaps between our feathers have been sewn together and the tails have been neatly tucked away, it's time to continue on to round 11. And for round 11, we are going to place a single crochet in all 40 stitches. Round 12 is going to be our final round. We're going to start by single crocheting 7 or as many stitches as it takes to get you to the very edge of the tail. Now that we have gotten to the edge of the tail, we are going to press this tail flat and use single crochets to seam this closed. So start by chaining 1, then flip this tail over. I'm going to remove my stitch marker because I don't need it anymore. And then we're going to go through both sides of the tail, through the front and the back of the tail, and then do our single crochets through both sides, just like this, to close up the tail and make it all one flat piece. So do 20 single crochets through both the front and the back side all the way across until you reach the other side. And there we go. Our tail is now seamed closed and it's all one flat piece. So now we're just going to fasten off and we will be ready to move on to the next part. Next, we are going to make the legs for our goose. The legs are made from the bottom up, starting with the toes. Each leg has 3 toes, and when you make the 3rd toe, we're not going to fasten off. We're going to keep going and connect all of the toes in a similar way to what we did for the tail feathers. Remember that you will need to make 2 legs for your goose, so everything we do will need to be repeated a second time for your second leg. So first things first, we are going to start with a toe. Grab your 6.5mm crochet hook and your orange or mustard colored yarn and form a magic circle. Place 3 single crochet into the magic circle. Tighten up your magic circle and secure it with a knot. For round 2, we're going to do a single crochet, an increase, and then another single crochet. You should have 4 stitches at the end of round 2. Turn your work right side out and continue. For round 3, we're going to do an increase and then a single crochet, followed by another increase and another single crochet. You should have 6 stitches at the end of round 3. For your first 2 toes, fasten off and leave a tail for sewing. On your 3rd toe, do not fasten off, and we will continue on the next round to joining the toes. On the next round, round 4, we are going to join these toes together. So grab a second toe, and in the next available stitch on that second toe, place your hook in there and then do 3 single crochets in that second toe. Grab your 3rd toe and place your hook in the next available stitch on that last toe and do 6 single crochets. Place your hook into the next available stitch on that center toe and do 3 single crochet. And then when we get back to that first original toe, we'll put our hook into the next available stitch on that toe and do 6 single crochet in that toe. You should have 18 stitches total at the end of round 4 after joining all of your toes. For round 5, place a single crochet in every stitch. Before moving on, let's take the time to sew all of the gaps between the toes closed using the tails left over from the first 2 toes. Now we'll start decreasing to form the foot. The decreases on round 6, 9, and 11 should line up to the sides of your foot. Depending on your tension and the slant of your work, you might need to adjust these by a stitch or 2. So for round 6, we will do 5 single crochet, then a decrease, then 7 single crochet, a decrease, and 2 single crochet. You should have 16 stitches at the end of round 6. For rounds 7 and 8, we are going to place a single crochet in all 16 stitches. For round 9, we're going to do 4 single crochet, then decrease, six single crochet, then decrease, then 2 single crochet. You should have 14 stitches at the end of round 9. For round 10, we're going to place a single crochet in all 14 stitches. For round 11, we're going to do 5 single crochet, a decrease, five single crochet, and a decrease. You should have 12 stitches at the end of round 11. For round 12, we're going to place a single crochet in all 12 stitches. Stuff the toes and foot. For round 13, we're going to do a stitch repeat of a single crochet, then a decrease, and we're going to do that 4 times total. You should have 8 stitches at the end of round 13. For rounds 14 through 18, or the next 5 rounds, we are going to do a single crochet in every stitch. Be sure to stuff your leg as you go over the next 5 rounds to avoid any gaps or lumps in the stuffing. On the final stitch of round 18, we are going to switch over to our white yarn. For round 19, we're going to do slip stitches into the back loops only of all 8 stitches. Please make sure that your slip stitches are loose enough for you to work into in the next round. You can feel free to switch to a larger hook if necessary in order to accomplish this. For round 20, we're going to do an increase in all 8 stitches. You should have 16 stitches at the end of round 20. For the next 3 rounds, or rounds 21 through 23, we are going to place a single crochet in every stitch. For round 24, our final round, we're going to do a stitch repeat of 3 single crochets and then an increase, and you're going to do that stitch repeat for a total of 4 times. You should have 20 stitches at the end of round 24. To finish things off, we're going to do a single crochet and then a slip stitch, and then you're going to fasten off and leave a long tail for sewing. Repeat this entire process to make your second leg. Now it's time for us to make the wings for our goose. The wings are made from the wing tips upwards, and we are going to start by making 2 small wing tips, and then we'll do a large wing tip and join everything together onto the large wing tip, very similar to what we did with the tail and with the legs. We will begin with our small wing tips. Using your 6.5mm crochet hook and white blanket yarn, form a magic circle. Place 3 single crochet into your magic circle. Tighten your magic circle. For round 2, do an increase, a single crochet, and an increase. You should have 5 stitches total at the end of round 2. Turn your work right side out. For round 3, we're going to place a single crochet in all 5 stitches. Once round 3 is complete, fasten off and leave a tail for sewing. Your small wingtip is now complete. Make a second small wingtip. To make the large wingtip, form a magic circle and place 3 single crochet into your magic circle. Tighten your magic circle. For round 2, we're going to do an increase and then 2 single crochet. You should have 4 stitches at the end of round 2. Turn your work right side out. For round 3, we're going to do 2 increases and then 2 single crochets. You should have 6 stitches at the end of round 3. For round 4, we're going to place a single crochet in every stitch. For round 5, we're going to do 3 increases and then 3 single crochet. You should have 9 stitches at the end of round 5. On the next round, we will join the small wingtips to our large wingtip to form the wing. For round 6, single crochet 4 stitches. Then we're going to place our hook into the next stitch on the first small wingtip and do 3 single crochet. Now we're going to place our hook into the next stitch of the second small wingtip and single crochet 2. Then increase, then single crochet 2. Place your hook into the next stitch on our middle wingtip and increase, then single crochet. Place your hook back into the large wingtip and do 5 single crochet. You should have 21 stitches at the end of round 6. The increases going forward should line up to the edge of your wing. You may need to adjust this by 1 to 2 stitches depending on the tension and slant of your work. For round 7, single crochet 9, then do 2 increases, then single crochet 10. You should have 23 stitches at the end of round 7. For round 8, we're going to do 11 single crochet, then increase, and 11 more single crochet. You should have 24 stitches at the end of round 8. Before we continue on, use the tails from the wingtips to sew the gaps between the wingtips closed. For rounds 9 through 15, or the next 7 rounds, we're going to place a single crochet in every stitch. The decreases going forward should line up to the edges of your wing. You may need to adjust this by 1 or 2 stitches depending on your tension and the slant of your work. For round 16, we're going to do 11 single crochet, a decrease, and 11 single crochet. This should leave you with 23 stitches at the end of round 16. For round 17, we'll do 10 single crochet, then 2 decreases, then 9 single crochet. You should have 21 stitches at the end of round 17. For round 18, we're going to start with a decrease, then we'll do 7 single crochet, two decreases, and 8 single crochet. You should have 18 stitches at the end of round 18. For round 19, we're going to start by doing a decrease. Once you do this decrease, you should be at the edge of your wing. If not, you may need to adjust by a stitch or two. Now we are going to seam this wing closed using single crochet like we did on our tail. So we'll start by doing a chain 1, and then we are going to press our hook through both sides and single crochet 8. Cut your yarn and fasten off. If you are making seated Goosetopher, please make sure to leave a long enough tail to sew your wings in place. If you're making reclining Goosetopher, you do not need a long tail for sewing here. One wing is done, now make a second. It's time to start our goose's body. Using your white yarn and your 6.5mm crochet hook, form a magic circle. Place 8 single crochet into the magic circle. Tighten up your magic circle to close it and secure it with a knot. For round 2, increase in every stitch. You should have 16 stitches at the end of round 2. For round 3, we're going to do a stitch repeat of single crochet, then an increase, 8 times in total. You should have 24 stitches at the end of round 3. For rounds 4 through 10, which is the next 7 rounds, we'll place a single crochet in every single stitch. For round 11, we're going to do a stitch repeat of a single crochet, then a decrease, and we're going to do that 8 times in total. You should have 16 stitches at the end of round 11. Stuff the head. For round 12, we'll do a stitch repeat of 2 single crochet and then a decrease, and we're going to do that 4 times in total. You should have 12 stitches at the end of round 12. Our head is complete, and now we're going to work on the neck. If you'd like to add any stabilizers to your neck, like wire or foam rollers or a piece of pool noodle, get that and have that handy. I like to add a couple of rounds to my neck to get started. Then I'm going to add the stabilizer and stuffing around it as I go to make sure that it is firmly held in place and that there are no gaps. So for rounds 13 through 26, which is 14 rounds, we're going to place a single crochet in all 12 stitches. I find that it is helpful to have your stabilizer sink down into the head somewhat to make sure that there is congruency and that the head doesn't become floppy at the end of the neck. If you're not using stabilizer, be sure to stuff your goose's neck as you go in order to avoid gaps or lumps. For round 27, we're going to do a stitch repeat of a single crochet and an increase, and we're going to do that a total of 6 times. You should have 18 stitches at the end of round 27. For rounds 28 and 29, or the next 2 rounds, place a single crochet in every stitch. Round 30 is another increase round. We're going to do a single crochet, then an increase. Then we're going to do a stitch repeat of 2 single crochets followed by an increase, and we'll do that stitch repeat 5 times in total. And then we're going to do 1 final single crochet, and at the end of round 30, you should have 24 stitches. For rounds 31 and 32, or the next 2 rounds, you're going to place a single crochet in all 24 stitches. Round 33 is an increase round. We're going to do 3 single crochet followed by an increase, and we're going to do that 6 times in total. You should have 30 stitches at the end of round 33. For rounds 34 and 35, or the next 2 rounds, we're going to place a single crochet in all 30 stitches. For round 36, we're going to start by doing 2 single crochet, then an increase, and then we'll do a stitch repeat of 4 single crochets followed by an increase. We'll do that a total of 5 times. At the end of the round, we'll end with 2 single crochet. You should have 36 stitches at the end of round 36. For rounds 37 and 38, or the next 2 rounds, we're going to place a single crochet in all 36 stitches. For round 39, we'll do a stitch repeat of 5 single crochet followed by an increase, and we're going to do that 6 times in total. You should have 42 stitches at the end of round 39. You have the option of attaching your wings by sewing them on, like in the seated goose option, or you can crochet them on for the reclining goose option. In this example, we are making a reclining Goosetopher, so we are going to do our no-sew wings. If you are making a seated Goosetopher with sewn-on wings, for the next 2 rounds, you're just going to do a single crochet in all 42 stitches. For the reclining or no-sew wing option, we are going to place our wing against the body, and then we're going to crochet through the wing and the body for the next 8 stitches in order to attach the wing. You can choose to attach your wings with the curved side up or the flat side up. In this example, we are doing the curved side facing up. Please note that whatever side of your wings is facing the stitch marker, that is the side of the wing that will be facing upward when your goose is done. So we will be placing the curved side of the wing facing the stitch marker, and then holding the wing and the body together, we're going to crochet 8 through the body and the wing to attach the wing. Next, we will do 13 single crochet. grab your second wing, make sure it is facing the correct direction, and then we're going to single crochet 8 to attach that second wing. Then we'll do 13 single crochet to the end of the round. For round 41, we're going to place a single crochet in all 42 stitches. For round 42, we'll start with 3 single crochet, followed by an increase. Then we'll do a stitch repeat of 6 single crochet followed by an increase, and we'll do that series of stitches 5 times in total. And then 3 more single crochet. You should have 48 stitches at the end of round 42. For round 43, we're going to do a stitch repeat of 7 single crochet followed by an increase, and we're going to do that series of stitches 6 times in total. You should have 54 stitches at the end of round 43. For round 44, we're going to do 4 single crochet followed by an increase. Then we're going to do a stitch repeat of 8 single crochet followed by an increase, and we're going to do that series of stitches 5 times. Then we're going to end with 4 single crochet. You should have 60 stitches at the end of row 44. For rounds 45 through 51, or the next 7 rounds, we're going to place a single crochet in every stitch. For round 52, we're going to do a stitch repeat of single crochet 9 times, followed by an increase, and we'll do that 6 times in total, and you should have 66 stitches at the end of round 52. For rounds 53 through 57, or the next 5 rounds, we're going to place a single crochet in every stitch. For round 58, we are going to be crocheting our tail on in a similar way to what we did with the wings. So first you're going to do 46 single crochet. Grab your tail and line it up to the body so that the side that you would like to face outward when it's done is pressed against the outside of the body. And now we're going to crochet through the tail and the body to attach them together. For round 59, we're going to do a stitch repeat of 9 single crochet and then a decrease. And we're going to do that 6 times total. You should have 60 stitches at the end of round 59. For round 60, we're going to do 4 single crochet, followed by a decrease. Then we're going to do a stitch repeat of 8 single crochet and then a decrease, and we will do that 5 times total. and then we'll do 4 more single crochet. You should have 56 stitches at the end of round 60. For round 61, we're going to do a stitch repeat of 7 single crochet and then a decrease, and we're going to do that series of stitches 6 times in total. You should have 48 stitches at the end of round 61. For round 62, we're going to start with 2 single crochets, and then we're going to do a decrease. Then we're going to do a stitch repeat of 4 single crochet and then a decrease. And we're going to do that series of stitches 7 times total. And we'll be ending with 2 additional single crochet. You should have 40 stitches at the end of round 62. Stuff the body. Be sure to add an ample amount of stuffing where the neck starts to widen into the body in order to avoid a floppy neck. For round 64, we're going to do a single crochet, then a decrease. Then we're going to do a stitch repeat of 2 single crochet and then a decrease. And we're going to do that 7 times total. And we're going to end with 1 additional single crochet. You should have 24 stitches at the end of round 64. For round 65, we're going to do a single crochet and then a decrease, and we're going to repeat that series of stitches 8 times total. You should have 16 stitches at the end of round 65. And for round 66, our final round, we are going to do 8 decreases. Be sure to add any additional stuffing if you need it before closing your magic circle and fastening off. Now it's time to assemble the remaining parts of our goose. We'll start with attaching the beak. The end of round 8 should be at the center of the top of your goose and will be aligned with the center tail feather. Stuff your beak, line it up where it needs to be, and if you have them, use some chopsticks or ami sticks in order to hold the beak in place while you sew. We'll be attaching the bottom of your beak to round 2, and the top should overlap onto round 3. Sew your beak in place and then bury the tail into the beak. Now that the beak is attached, it's time to move on to legs. First, we will cover how to attach the legs for your reclining Goosetopher. If you're making seated Goosetopher, please use the timestamps to navigate forward to assembly for the wings and legs of seated Goosetopher. Add any additional stuffing to your legs. Line your legs up 1 to 2 stitches apart using the center of round 66 or the final round of the body as a guide. Your legs should line up with the edge of round 65, and when Goosetopher is laying down, the legs should be roughly flush with the belly. Use some chopsticks, bamboo skewers, knitting needles, or some ami sticks to help hold your legs in place while you sew. Once you have the legs aligned where you would like them, use the tails remaining from the legs to sew the legs in place on the body. Now it's time to attach the legs and wings to our seated Goosetopher. Add any additional stuffing needed to your legs. Line the legs up on the body about 5 to 6 stitches apart using the center of round 66 as a guide. The bottom of the legs should be lined up to approximately round 60. The bottom of Goosetopher's legs should be approximately level to the ground when he is seated. Use some chopsticks, bamboo skewers, knitting needles, or some ami sticks to help hold your legs in place while you are sewing. Once you're sure you have your legs positioned where you would like them, use the tails from the legs to sew the legs in place to the body. When you're done sewing, bury the tails into the legs or the body. Now that our legs are attached, we can attach Goosetopher's wings. Line the top of your wings up to round 40 and angle them slightly back by about 3 stitches. Be sure that the top of your wings are centered at the top of the body, and the bottom edge of the wings should line up to be about halfway between the tail and legs. The wing tips should be pointing downward slightly towards Goosetopher's legs. Use some ami sticks, skewers, chopsticks, or knitting needles to hold your wings in place. Adjust the placement as needed until you are certain that both of the wings are placed correctly where you would like them. Sew your wings in place using the tail from the wings, and once secure, bury the tail in the body. Now all we have left to do is give our goose eyes. To start, I'm going to show you how to make your own eyes out of craft felt. If you're making a blanket yarn version of Goosetopher, then you will need 2 25mm circles as eyes. If you're using a worsted weight yarn, you can do the same process, but use a 14mm felt circle instead. If you're in the United States, you can use a US quarter as a template in order to get your 25mm circles. Place the quarter on top of your felt and draw a circle around it using a pencil. The pencil will leave a faint mark that you will be able to see, but it will be cut off when we are all done trimming up our eyes. So now you've got your circle traced on there. I like to place the quarter back on top and hold it in place firmly, then take my fabric scissors and trim around the edge of the quarter. Next, I like to go back and do a second pass and trim off any obvious extra bits. And that's basically it. If you can see any remaining pencil marks or obvious uneven spots on your circle, you can go back in and do a little bit more trimming, like you see me doing right here. If your cuts are not looking round enough for you, you can always grab your quarter and line it back up to make sure that your eye is perfectly round. Now that we have our two felt eyes, we are ready to glue these in place. The eyes should be placed around 3 rounds back from the beak and centered on the side of the head. Use a skewer or an ami stick to help you find and mark the halfway point on the head. Grab hot glue, E6000 or your adhesive of choice and use that to adhere the eyes to the side of your goose's head. Now that the eyes are attached, I like to go back and use a white Tulip fabric paint to make little eye shines on my felt eyes. This is totally optional and you do not have to do this if you don't want to. If you do not want to use felt eyes, you also have the option of crocheting your own eyes using worsted weight yarn and a 3.75mm hook. If you're using a different yarn than blanket yarn to make your Goosetopher, these eyes may not be the correct size for your goose. To make eyes for a worsted weight Goosetopher, use a 3mm hook and follow the instructions for round 1 of the crocheted eyes, then slip stitch and fasten off. Use a darning needle and white yarn to embroider the eye shines on your eyes. For round 1, form a magic circle using black yarn and your 3.75mm crochet hook, and place 6 single crochet into the magic circle. Place your hook into that first stitch and then tighten up your magic circle. Next, we're going to do an increase. We're going to do this using our white yarn. So yarn over with your white yarn, complete the first single crochet of the increase using your white yarn. Use the white yarn to start the second single crochet of your increase, and then on that final loop, we're going to switch back to black yarn. We'll complete the rest of the round using our black yarn, and we're going to do 5 more increases. So at the end of this round, we should have 12 stitches in total. For round 3, we're going to do a partial round. We're just going to do 3 slip stitches using our black yarn. Then we're going to fasten off and leave a long tail to attach the eye to your goose. And our crocheted eyes are now complete. All you need to do is sew these to the sides of Goosetopher's head. The eyes should be centered on the sides of the head 2 to 3 rounds back from the beak. If you'd like to see a better visual of the eye placement, go back to the felt eye section and watch the attachment there. I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial, but most of all, I hope that you're going to enjoy your new friend Goosetopher. If you do, please give my tutorial a like and consider subscribing because I do upload crochet tutorials like this and vlogs every other Wednesday, and I love to make new crochet friends. Speaking of crochet friends, follow me on social media. I am Graceface Creates on all platforms. Please stick around and watch the tester parade showing all of the Goosetopher's that my testers made. Thanks again for watching and happy crocheting!